And The Guardian has spoken to Iranian Australians following the killing of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei last weekend. They discuss what it's like to watch the conflict unfold from hundreds of kilometres away. And for more on that and a few other stories making headlines today, we are joined by former diplomat and author IanKemish. Ian, very good morning to you. And first to that story in The Guardian, this anxious wait for news from Iranian families who are living in Australia, waiting to hear from their friends and family over in Iran during this internet blackout.
Yeah, and we can only begin to imagine their pain, Jo. Look, it's only a week on from all the jubilation over the killing of Ayatollah Khamenei and the hope that was in the air last weekend about what might happen there. But in the end, you know, the images that people are seeing back here in Australia and elsewhere amongst the Iranian diaspora community of destruction in their home country, widespread destruction, the lack of access to their loved ones because of the internet and other communications breakdowns and clampdowns. It must be very concerning to them. There's also a growing questions internationally, and I'm sure amongst the community, about whether real political change is going to come from this. You know, there are quite serious questions about that, including because of the sort of language that we've heard from the White House, which suggests the possibility of a Venezuela-like solution in which somebody's selected or approved from the existing political establishment. If that's the case, then there'll be a lot of disappointed people among the diaspora, I'm sure.
Ian, one of the other stories you've pulled for us this morning is a piece in the Sydney Morning Herald about Indonesia's, or the feelings of Indonesians around the war in Iran. How is this sort of resentment being felt there?
It's a really interesting article, and it's a really good reminder that there's no uniformity of view about what's taking place in the Middle East at all. I think there's, you know, a degree of skepticism and concern here in Australia too. But in Indonesia, our largest neighbour by far, we have very considerable concern, some level of mourning about the killing of Khamenei. And even though Indonesia is a largely Sunni Muslim country, notwithstanding that, there is quite considerable concern about attacks on the world of Islam and on this great Muslim country, as many Indonesians might see it. And look, you know, at a time when we in Australia are seeking to hedge our bets a bit with the US alliance and build our regional partnerships, it's useful to remember that there are people in our largest neighbour, a country where we've just signed a defence treaty, who have some pretty serious concerns about this. Something we'll have to take into account, I think, if we're ever asked to join in this. Not that I'm suggesting we will, but who knows?
Ian, this final article in the AFR, we talk often about how crucial the Strait of Hormuz is, and unsurprisingly, it's become a real battleground.
It really has, and as we were just hearing from earlier on in your item, we are in a situation where there is a choke point there, where a very significant proportion of the world's energy exports pass through it, so there's a big economic impact. We have the United States getting more and more involved in seeking to guarantee shipping in the region. It really raises the exposure for the United States. We have to remember that one of the most significant successful attacks on US interests in the region in relatively recent times was against the USS Cole. It didn't involve a conventional army, it involved suicide attackers. And by the way, the most successful single attack against US interests in the Middle East, you know, in the last several decades was by a proxy, by Hezbollah, against the US Marine barracks in Beirut. I guess what I'm saying is, don't look necessarily for conventional capability and military capability from Iran when you consider the possibilities in the region.
IanKemish, always great to speak to you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks so much.